Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a different style video. We're going to talk about 5 things for new members or 5 things for new students. And of course, I got my son Brandon here. He's teaching in Colombia. He's also going to be teaching here at Kishi Dojo. Of course, you know I teach daily here at Kishi Dojo. And every week we have new people coming in, try out martial arts, stuff like that, and focus on various tasks. So I thought, why don't we make a video on this and what he teaches at his gym for the newest members, and I would also cover what I teach for newest members. And I'm sure some of these things are going to overlap, and it's probably going to be overlapping for many other instructors, but I thought it'd just be fun to say, hey, what are 5 things you have for new members to work on? Yeah. And do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I can go first. This is the big one.
Okay.
The biggest thing that I noticed that people do a lot, it's a lot of younger guys who do it too. It's ego driven. They try to win training, right? If you come with the intention of winning every day, you're not focusing on the right thing, and you're not going to be getting better as effectively as you could if you came with the right mindset of just coming to learn. I think that's a big one. When people come to train, don't try to focus on winning, right? A lot of the time, these people have, if you're brand new, these people have years of experience over you, over something that is very, very difficult to learn too. At least it's difficult to get the fundamentals down. And a successful day is not tapping every single person. A successful day is picking up new information, acquiring these skills.
I have that literally.
Yeah, I think we're gonna probably have a few.
I had for my second one. Don't worry about always getting submissions. Like sometimes the win could be, hey, I didn't get mounted, or I didn't get dominated, or maybe I didn't get tapped. When I was younger, when I was new into this, I didn't win for 6 months. And I tell my students that all the time, like, hey guys, don't worry about winning right away, like you just said, because I didn't win. My first fight, I lost in 16 seconds from a submission that's not even really doable. I was just that dumb. And it took months and months, and I beat the first guy I beat was a wrestler, and I won because he gassed out. Funny story though is I went home on leave from Japan, and I went and I sparred a lot of my karate friends, and I annihilated them. Yeah. I walked, and we're all brown belts, black belts, whatever. And I beat them so bad it wasn't even fun anymore. I was like, oh, you can't use that jiu-jitsu stuff on us no more. And it's like, oh, okay. So even though I was the worst in our dojo in Japan, it was light years ahead of what we were doing when I left to go in the military.
And if you think about your story, you trained for 6 months and you said I didn't win, but then you obviously got better.
Correct.
You developed all these skills that you needed, and then you went back to your karate gym, which is technically these are all the people who you were 6 months ago, and you wiped the floor with them. So there's clearly a huge increase of skill, even if you only got one submission that entire time.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think too, the best people that I train with, they're the people who it's okay, yeah, my goal today is working bottom half guard. I'm just going to try to hold you in this position. And it's if my goal is, if I'm looking at maintaining position, passing, all these things are just as important as the finishing mechanics of a submission, but so many people just care about the finishing mechanic. If I get the Kimura, that's me winning. But it's well, realistically, you're trying to control somebody, you're trying to pass any kind of mount, you're trying to pass any kind of guard, control a position, isolate the limb. There's a whole bunch of stuff you have to work before you can actually get that submission.
For me, the first thing I try to talk to people about is grips and grip fighting. Yeah. We can't really do a whole lot if you're laying down or whatever, your just hands are out in space or they're down by your sides. To just simply lay on your back, I tell all my students either Deadpool face or Home Alone face. Get your hands up near your face. So at least they're up. Because yeah, the whole I do that for the kids, and for the adults, I say Deadpool because he's always doing this, and one of the kids said Deadpool face. And so that's my first thing is because when people just lay down, they just lay down. And it's well, how are you going to defend yourself? I don't know. It's so first things first, get your hands up.
Okay, my second thing actually was stretch. Okay.
Ooh, I don't have that one.
Very important is I say stretch as just a catch-all for come prepared, right? You need to hydrate, you need to eat, you need to sleep, you need to stretch, and hopefully you're lifting weights too. That's another thing. Yoga and deadlifting has been huge for that. I lift weights, I'm not trying to get big muscles or be really strong. It's just for the support of joints and everything. It's so important. Same thing with stretching. Hydrating is super big. Eating, just it's really crazy how often I just wouldn't eat before training and then would perform terribly and then think I sucked at jiu-jitsu. And it's like, no, you're just you're not preparing yourself to be successful. And that's huge.
Yeah, and it's funny because we talk about this, and I talk about it in class, especially when it comes to competition practice. You know, your body is like a sports car.
Yeah.
You know, and if you put in crappy fuel, like so many of my students come in with like McDonald's and Taco Bell
You know what I think messing up
all that junk
is mind over matter. You think you can overcome anything by like enough willpower, and it's like that's actually not true.
Yeah,
You need to set yourself up for success.
Yeah, but stretching is a good one. I know
Stretching's huge.
we talk about it for training, and I'm torn. I think it's literally a thing. Like, okay, so your class is an hour long. Do you take 10 minutes out of your day to stretch? Or do you put that on them?
Here's my thing. I think you can do both, right? I think sometimes you can do the stretching. It doesn't have to be every single day. I dedicate 10 minutes out of my class every day to this. But sometimes the warm-up is a stretch. Sometimes the warm-up is running and doing shrimps. Sometimes the warm-up is juji swings and whatever. And so I'll cycle it.
So you want a variety?
I want a variety. For one, I get bored.
Yeah.
I feel like other people are getting bored. Like I get like a really big sense of like, people hate my class if it's just the same thing over and over.
Agreed.
And so do a bunch of different stuff, do the stretching some days, and then it's also like showing them ways,
some things they can do. Yep.
And it will slowly accumulate. But the biggest thing, people are coming to a gym or people go to a gym to work out on their own. They're coming to like martial arts school to get help, right? Or they're hiring a personal trainer at a gym, whatever. Part of it is learning how to do a scissor sweep. Part of it is, this is what you should probably do beforehand too. Stretching.
That's fair.
It's coaching.
That's fair. Bring off of what you said, about stretching and stuff. The other part I want to say is like, don't compare yourself to everybody else. Your journey is yours, and my journey is mine. So
comparison is the theft of joy.
Yeah, you're gonna like, oh well, I can't beat him, or I can't move as fast as him, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. I'm not as tall as you. Like my movements aren't gonna be the same. Like I can't beat myself up or be upset that this move doesn't work. Like everybody I know tries Kimura from full mount. And I'm like, look, my limbs don't really function this way. Yours do. You're long enough to where that's doable. And I had to accept that. Like, okay, so there are going to be moves that he can do that I can't do. And vice versa. When you're a shorter person, inserting your knee to get that knee frame is so easy, especially on a tall guy.
People don't notice that.
They're so long. It's like, dude, you're like, what the heck's happening here? So don't compare yourself to everybody else. If anything, and I said this in my my video I did a few weeks ago, if you're filming yourself, you'll be able to see your progress because, as you mentioned earlier, when I went home, like I was losing every match in our gym. I go home and I beat all my friends. But I can't see that growth. Yeah. I'm getting beat every day, so I think I'm the worst.
I think it's up to the coach to like point that out a lot of the time too.
They can, yeah. I think that's part of the coach's job is to point that out. Depending on the size of the class. Like, I mean, I don't have a class like Professor Andre Galvo where you got 100 people in a class. He's not going to be able to hail every 100 person like, man, you're looking way better than you did 2 days ago.
He's probably not everybody's coach either.
True. Yeah. Probably got teams of people out there. But that would be the thing is don't compare yourself to everybody else. It's your journey. Take your time. It's fine. And let them take their time.
My last one that I had written down was you're learning, right? It's important to remember. You're not, I don't know, people don't notice, like, you're basically in school. We call it a school and we call it a class, but people don't learn it in the same way or do it in the same way. A big one is taking notes.
I know. There goes that one.
I saw that. Taking notes, asking questions, and then failing, right? You have to be allowed to fail. A lot of people, I think, because it's a mostly male space, so there's a lot of like egotistical. I mean, women have egos, don't get me wrong, but like a lot of macho energy in a gym, and people want to show up and win. That's what I was talking about in the first one. You should want to show up and learn, take notes, ask questions, be okay to fail. There's nothing, in my opinion, as somebody who is in the space and like I've been here for a long time. If you show up and you're trying really hard to win, like you look stupid, I'm more embarrassed by you, right? You're not impressing anybody. I think that's what people are trying to do. They're trying to impress. What has impressed me more than anything else is when somebody shows up and is a good student, is humble, is like, there's a clear, like, yeah, you've been here for 10 years practicing. I showed up yesterday. I'm not going to beat you.
I know I go to see Guru Dan 2 times a year at least, and it's always the case. People are always trying to like, swell up and show how awesome they are because he's going to be like, you're the next Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not the case.
And it's like, what do you think? You're going to trick him into thinking you're better than you are?
Right.
Like, this is like the highest expert in the world. Like,
so, yeah, I've seen that a lot. And
I did it too, is the thing. Like, I don't know.
I think we all do.
All of this stuff is stuff that I'm really embarrassed about that I did. So, like, yeah, I was the same way.
I'm sure. I've done all these things.
Yeah. It's just as like, and I don't know, just try to say embarrassment, if anything.
Yeah. So I do have another one, YouTube. But if you're going to use YouTube to help in your training, make sure you're following it in the realm of what you're training. Don't look up something if you're a new member and you're like, let me look up, I don't know, single leg X guard sweep to ankle lock. And you're like, I don't even know what single leg X guard is, much less all the rest of this stuff. Like, find a thing. Most of us, of course, we have a YouTube channel. You can, of course, if you're a member of our gym, you can use our YouTube channel. I know Eli Knight's got some really good stuff out there. I would highly recommend Eli Knight. Of course, Eric Paulson has some great stuff. Kevin Lee has some great stuff. Ed Stahl has some great stuff. Jiu-Jitsu. Chewy's got some great stuff. Like, Jordan Teaches Jiu-Jitsu has some great stuff. Like, any of those people, I would definitely check out their top 5 things, white belts or blah, 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 blah. But I would keep it in the realm of what we're working on. Like, hey, if you're working on guard passing in your gym, and you're like, okay, I want to get better at guard passing. Okay, look up a video on how to pass close guard. And then you're going to get inundated with 600 videos, and you're going to watch a couple, and you're going to say, I learned that move in class. But I didn't see this version or that version. And that's actually what I do too. Even when I'm prepping my classes for the month, I'm like, I have 7 answers for this. I want 8 because I want an even number. And so I'll look it up and be like, I've never seen that one. And it's not bad for me because at this point, a video teaching me a technique is going to be what? A variable of something I've already done. Most likely. It's not going to be something so far-fetched I'm not going to understand it. And if it is, I'm going to move on to a video that's going to be a variable of what I've already done until I can get it. I do have one last thing. If you're the bigger person or you're the higher ranking person working with a newer person, if you're the bigger person or the higher ranking person working with somebody new, fight from the bottom. It does you no good to, aka, prove your manhood or your machoism or your dominance or how cool you are, to just smash a small person or to pin that girl down and be like, ha! And she's just suffering for every breath she takes, and you're like, I beat you. If you can, that's where you would say, hey, I'm going to work on my guard retention, or I'm going to work on escaping. Like, hey, they got dominant position. Boop, boop, I escape. And I let them get dominant position. And then maybe I work a different escape. Or I put myself in the bad positions with that new member because I'm not fearful that I'm going to get darced or whatever. I'm like, hey, let me try these other escapes and then work the details out. Something that I take wholeheartedly that I think Seneca told me, and I think it's probably some of the best advice I've ever been given. If I'm fighting somebody lower ranking, I experiment. I test out the new stuff I'm working on for myself. If I'm fighting somebody of equal skill level, I do what works. The stuff that I've experimented on, say, okay, I've been successful with these things. These are the moves that work for me and my body type. This is what I'm going to do. If I'm fighting somebody above me, somebody higher ranking me, go for broke. Just do whatever, because like when I'm going to fight Professor Carlos, Professor Seneca, Professor Eddie Avalar, Professor Brad Scott, whoever, they're better than I am. I know they're better than I am, and I'm going to lose probably anyway. So if I'm going to lose, might as well lose trying something. Yeah. So I will go for broke, and I'll be like, hey, cool. And I almost caught Professor Brad with my baseball bat choke. He's like, dude, if you could have blocked my hips, that would have worked. And it's like, that's the best closest I've ever gotten to tapping him. And it's like, what am I losing? If you lose to your coach, if I lose to my son, if I lose in a match in my own class, what are you losing? Like, I think people think too much like, oh, I can't believe I got tapped by this person. What did you lose your birthday? Did you lose your paycheck? No, you just, okay, it's a learning experience. Okay, first of all, I learned this person knows that move. Don't let myself get put there again. And I also learned that this escape didn't work for me right now. Yeah. I'm missing something. Let me fix that.
I'll say too, it's like, that is true if you are like applying it in that right way. So if I'm losing and then I never think about what I did wrong, or if I get mad and I walk off the mat, I didn't learn anything just now. Agreed. You have to be intentional about that kind of stuff where, like, you know, a lot of time I work the same things every time. And then when if I'm rolling against somebody who's like lower ranked or something, like I do a lot of, I'm on the bottom half guard working my Kimura system. And then I'm just like being very intentional about, okay, if I grab the wrist and I set up my Kimura, what is the response going to be? Right. And now I have to learn from that. In the same way, I'm rolling Nader, and then I work like this is how I'm, you know, stopping him from passing my guard, and he wins if I just go like, oh, I suck, and I walk away. Well, then now you suck. But if I go, hey, how'd you do that? He walked me through it. Right. Now he's coaching me. That's the whole point.
And isn't that what Professor Elio Gracie was saying back in whatever year? Either you win or you learn. Yeah. Like realistically, you win your match or you learn from your match. Like you don't have to lose. I think you only lose, like you said, if you just, oh well, it's over. I gave up.
Yep.
You know, and I mean I think that's real. Like you only lose when you quit, when you give up.
Awesome. Well, let me know what you guys think of this kind of video. This was something a little bit different. We were trying to do more of a podcast style. And so you finished your coffee?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, man, you finished a coffee.
I did, right now.
And I have about a quart, about right where that line is, of Ghost.
We got to keep talking.
But if you like the video, do me a favor, hit that like button. If you have any comments on this kind of stuff, maybe you see something else, 5 things for new members, or a thing that as you were a student or a new member in martial arts, put down what you guys think was like, oh, I wish my coach would have talked about or did this. I'd be really curious to hear what you guys have to say. And maybe it's something we can add to a new video or a different one when we do this again in 5 years or something.
Yeah.
So, but there you guys have it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you know when videos are coming out. Every Saturday, 11 a.m., new video comes out every week.
Nice.
And this is, of course, Coach Brandon. He is my son, and he's going to be teaching here at KSD, and he's teaching at Lycan in Colombia.
Lycan, Colombia.
Awesome. See you guys later.